Hey, and welcome to this short video just to explain why you would use true as the fourth parameter in the Vlookup formula. Okay, most people, when they're using Vlookup, they would use false as being the fourth parameter, and I'll just explain why you'd use false. When you use false as the fourth parameter, right, and looking at this example here, now I'll actually increase the view just so that people can see it a bit better. Zoom, and we'll say 200%. Okay, and we can see across here that we've got date, customer, location, and you can see actually here location, the VLOOKUP formula. Okay, and we're using the value in C3, okay, the customer's name, and we're looking into a table called customer, and we're going to the second column and we're going false. Now the reason why we're doing it all that way is that I know for definite that there is a customer called Dexter. Right, and we'll just see this here that under another table here for in customers and products, I actually do have all my customers, right, and you can see Dexter there. Their location is Dublin, and the salesperson that is assigned to them is T. Phillips. There is another VLOOKUP kind of table here that we use in the VLOOKUP for the prices of products, and then there's another one here for the VAT rate. Okay, so when we look back at sales here, and if we look at this one, we know for definite that there is a value Dexter or ABC Limited in my customer, my list of my list of customers there, as we saw just a second ago. And because I know that there's an exact match, I use the parameter false. Now, I use the VLOOKUP to return the location, the salesperson for that particular customer, but also then too I use VLOOKUP for the VAT rate. Okay, and I'll explain how that is done, but I use true in this instance. Now VAT rate, okay, is based on the notion of the gross amount. Now gross amount is equal to quantity multiplied by price per item, so we get gross amount of that transaction. But based on this value, right, we then look up the table called VAT, which we'll look at in a few seconds. We go to the second column, but instead of false we use true. Now what actually true represents is the nearest match downwards. So what it actually happens is that it will look for the value 1250 or the nearest match but on a downward basis. I'll show you here. 1250. Now we can see that the VAT rate is 5%. So just bear in mind 1250. And if we go to here, yes, 15 is there, but it's not 15, it's below 15. So it goes one beneath that or nearest. Okay, so then it gets 5% because 0. Okay, now I will change a few values around there in a few seconds to just demonstrate that. Okay, but that is the reason. Okay, now you might do it. This is a good example where you would use it in true, in that you're looking for an approximate value. Okay, it might be you might use it for dates that, okay, not necessarily that you would use at certain thresholds for months. Okay, that you might have a month deadline, and then it might be that you would return that, or in this case that bands, okay, that anything between 0 and 15 is charged 5%, anything between 15 and 30 is 13%, and so forth. And that is why you would use true in that instance. Now I'll actually just do a tiny bit of experimentation here to see if we got rid of this value altogether. Okay, and I'll just actually press delete and get rid of the two of them. So there is actually no 12. We'll see what is applied, and there's an A. Okay, there's no rate for that, so you have to watch out for that, and you have to account upwards. Now you might say to yourself, okay, how do I do that? And basically, okay, the easiest way, as I showed you before, would be that you would have a rate starting at 0, and that between 0 and the smallest threshold. Now even if it was a case that it was 0, okay, if it was 0, okay, and then we go back to sales here and we can see that 0% VAT rate is now applied to this. But if it can't find the figure using the VLOOKUP, it will put in NA. Okay, so the basis of what I did here was as follows, is that anything above 0 but below 15 is 0% VAT rate. 15, between 15 and 30, 13%, and all the way up. So anything that was in excess of 500 was charged 33% VAT. And we can see this here, okay, that we can see down here, right, that there is a figure there, right, for €875, and that's charged 33%. Now, basically, okay, the point of this video was to show when you use true, more specifically than false, in a VLOOKUP. You'd always use true if you know for a fact that there is one unique value of this value within the table that you're using. So I'm linking, okay, I'm linking this value here, okay, back to this table here, and I'm going out how many ever rows, whichever one I want to return the location of the customer or the salesperson. The same for this, so I look apples, oranges and pears, but when I use the VAT rate, because I know specifically it's not going to fall exactly at 0, 15, 30 or 100 or 500, we then use true. That then gives us the nearest match, but on a downward basis. In other words, if it's above 0 but below 15, it will be 0%. If it's below 30 but above 15, 13%, and all the way down true. Okay, now again, okay, even though this has nothing to do with true or false, again, what I did here was I named all my cell ranges. Okay, customer, fruit, and VAT. That is essential. You must do that. Okay, it's pointless otherwise. Okay, so hopefully this was of some use to somebody, whoever, and if it was, look, leave a comment, leave a like, and maybe subscribe. And if there's any questions, please feel free to what was I going to say, contact me. And if you wanted this spreadsheet just even as an example, by all means contact me as well. Leave a comment and I will get back in contact with you. Also, I will be doing another video pretty soon on the notion of pivot tables to follow up on my pivot table video that I did recently. So until the next time, goodbye, adios, and keep figuring it out. Take care.